Back to PTR Radio with Colin.
The 8-Man was my favorite guy with Racist Dave and everything.
Yeah, and I'm still
and then I
friends
started
with
listening to
Racist
PTR exclusively, and then Colin, you're the guy.
And now, back to PTR Radio with Colin.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to PTR Radio here on the fabulous interweb. It's another edition of the show, and we thank you all for tuning in. So, tonight is looking like one of those nights where hopefully we will kind of find our mojo as we go along. Because I can tell you right now, all of us are actually up for a nap. I think that's what we all think we would rather be doing.
I know I'm going to be up late tonight, so I'm reserving energy, I guess.
Okay. So,
big hockey game to watch tonight.
Hockey game? Hockey game? Who watches hockey? Who watches hockey on TV? It's like watching golf on TV or bowling. No, you play it, or, what good is it? What fun is it?
Fair enough.
And that's from a hockey player.
To be honest with you, I, as stupid as it sounds, I rarely watch hockey. When I watch hockey at the bar after playing hockey.
It's just on in the background, I'm sure.
Tonight is U.S. versus Canada women's hockey.
Oh, it's even worse. It's Olympic hockey.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's even worse.
I don't watch non-Olympic hockey.
I am so not interested in the Olympics. I mean...
Neither am I. I got to be honest with you.
It's a nothing. Why even have it?
This is borderline one of those topics we said we weren't going to talk about, because I feel like we should not be attending or promoting Olympics in China. And I'll leave it at that, because we don't want to go down that road.
I mean,
yep.
I think we all know. Well, look at it this way. They have a problem with the Olympics that nobody wants them. All right? It's a known fact that I don't remember when it is, but it's either in 4 or 8 years. They took like the only applicant for the location of the Olympics, because nobody actually wants the Olympics. So it was like running an uncontested election.
I'm not sure what year that is. I'm not aware of any uncontested Olympic.
I don't remember, but nobody wants the Olympics because all it does is lose money and create ghost towns. And it's just, really horrible.
I hear Colin typing away, so I'll let him track down the uncontested part. But I do remember, like, the bids to host the Olympics have been dwindling. It used to be, every country you could think of was trying to host the Olympics.
Oh, and every state in the U.S. wanted it, and every, it was the end all be all.
Yeah.
But I don't think. Let's see here. No one wants to host the Olympics. Let's just see if we got that. Nobody really wants to host the. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. A lot of places do get abandoned. You look, there's whole websites devoted to abandoned Olympic arenas.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. So, the
Rio
2032 Olympics in Brisbane.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't steer you wrong.
Yeah.
Only for the 2028 Olympics, they only had 2 applicants, L.A. and Paris. So they give Paris one and L.A. Well, actually, they give L.A. the 2028 one, and they give Paris another one. So it's like I said, nobody wants them. Nobody, which just blows my mind that Chicago, in years past, have just raved and wanted them so badly. I think we even talked about it on the show. It's a horrible idea. It's a money loser, and all you get is accused of making no sex beds. or of having a horny town for, a couple weeks.
I think what they're finally learning is you need to have Olympics in places that already have facilities and don't build something every time. That's the part that's been stupid.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the country that seems to have the best facilities for the Olympics now is China, which we're not going to get into. So, shall we get to another thing on the sheet? Because I think we've progressed as far as we want to on Olympics.
Well, okay, but no, actually, here's the other question though. And this ties to a NASCAR thing that happened this weekend. NASCAR, for the first time, they built a track at the LA Coliseum for one weekend of racing, an exhibition race, even. Mm-hmm. And my friend and I were talking about it, how much money did NASCAR lose by building this track? Because ticket sales were nothing. It was $2 million to the winner. So
it's no different than when American football teams go over to London and one of them is considered the home team. You know, it's I can't imagine that there's a huge draw for this stuff.
So multiple years at the same site. Here's the only issue, and this is part of the. I think the Olympics have become too commercialized, right?
What?
It's not about the best athletes anymore. It's about just advertising, and it's not about the sport. It's about the spectacle.
1,000 meter speed skating brought to you by Coke.
Well, so I do agree that places that have hosted before have the best, have a better chance because they have the facilities, as long as those facilities are maintained. But at the same time, if a nation has a good athletic program to begin with, they're going to have these facilities. They may not be all in the same city, and that's where I think the United States gets foolish, because they promote the Olympics in a city.
Well, right. I mean, that's one of the problems of having the, a larger country, geographically, and having all these little fiefdoms within the country that all want their piece of the pie, is that then we don't have USA awarded the Olympics. We have Los Angeles, Denver, etc. Those Atlanta awarded the Olympics. It's not USA. As much as we chant USA during the damn games,
Here's what I think we need to do, okay? Greece was on the verge of bankruptcy, right?
Still is, from what I understand.
Okay, so if the world claims Greece in bankruptcy court and converts it to Olympic islands, you have a permanent non-specific spot to have the Olympic Games every year.
And they already have a negative annual GDP growth. So losing more in Olympics isn't going to hurt them.
So the question then becomes, all right, if we claim Greece as the Summer Olympic home for all eternity, the birthplace of the Olympics becomes...
It's fairly close to the equator. We get nice summer times. Right.
So
there's good food.
Where do the Winter Olympics go? That is the question.
I think it can only go to Norway or Greenland or someplace where it is always freaking cold.
But there's no Arctic nation on the verge of bankruptcy. That's the problem.
Well, you're right, because most, for example, Greenland actually does pretty well because of their geothermal energy reserves. I think they have a pretty good, gross domestic product. But let's think about that. So, what if we took over the South Pole? Nobody lives there. The polar bears aren't going to be there much longer anyway, so they won't mind.
Yeah, there's a distinct lack of mountains.
We can build them. You're going to build something anyway for the Olympics.
You're going to build a mountain.
Sure.
Well,
Hey,
here's
they
the
did it
idea.
at Disney.
You build the arena.
You should know
For,
this,
like-
Colin. You live there. They did it at Disney. We can do it here.
So if you build the arena, right, and you build up on the roof of the arena to make a mountain.
Yeah.
So it's dual purpose. It's a ski slope / speed skating oval / hockey rink
Yep.
/ figure skating / velodrome.
Yeah, because we already got Santa Claus at the North Pole. We should have the Olympics at the South Pole. Even it out
Oh,
a
that's a
little
good
bit.
idea.
Yeah. I mean,
So, okay, but here's the thing, though, because you're making this way too complicated, Shaggy.
I'm making it complicated by building Santa's Village
What
on the
is one
South
of the
Pole.
most famous mountains in the world?
Rushmore.
Are you going to say that we're going to blow snow on Mount Rushmore and make them
No.
use the nose off of somebody for a ski jump?
Vesuvius.
No. Mountains in
McKinley.
mythology that actually exist.
Mountains in mythology that actually exist. That's a
Pompeii blew up, so I don't know.
Yes. But Mount Olympus is
Olympus.
still there.
Okay, so wait. So we're back to Greece. So
Yes, that's the point.
No,
Like,
so-
why are you trying to move the Winter Olympics anywhere but your new Olympic island?
But do they get
okay.
snow? I don't know what the winters are like in Greece.
They have ski resorts there.
Okay.
Oh,
there
hey,
we go.
cool.
They have
All
the
right.
Mount
Right, so
Olympus at
Greece-
Tori Ski Center.
All right. Sorry, all Greeks, but you no longer exist. You are now Olympians.
Yes. Be proud of your new nation, and you can tell you what, you can keep the 5 rings as your symbol.
My big fat Olympian wedding.
Yeah. Olympic ruins. My life in Olympic ruins. Hey, that could be a documentary.
And hey, the whole relay of the torch will be much shorter.
It will.
They can go because they light that with a mirror using the sun, so someone could just light the torch and turn around and light the cauldron.
Yeah.
So
I don't know why we go through all this work for the Olympics. We've got it solved. It's simple.
Yeah.
And some of the messages still aren't coming in, but Teresa wrote, the Olympics is just one big commercial with fireworks. And yeah, listen, I think I thought the opening ceremonies were still going on.
Didn't they use
like,
drones
you start
last
watching
time?
them-
Not even fireworks?
No drones this
was
year.
that?
It was a lame opening ceremony.
Was it really?
Well, there wasn't anybody there to watch it, so why would they go through the trouble
Well,
of making
yeah,
it
that's-
exciting?
Yeah.
Well, like I said, the entire floor of the arena was a giant TV. And I said, why do I need them to have a giant TV to watch on my TV? I already have a TV. I don't need to watch somebody else's TV on my TV.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, the drones I thought were pretty cool. That was
Oh, yeah, I love the drones.
It was.
They didn't even have those this year.
until we have, fighting robots, I don't really think we need to have the Olympics. We could have the Olympics with fighting robots.
Well, Fighting
Japan
Robots
built
is on
those.
Thursdays.
Fighting robots sound what?
Is on Thursdays.
No. I mean big ones. Like
He's talking
RoboJock
like
style.
robot
robot
I mean-
jocks. Yeah.
Yeah, robot
Which
jocks.
ironically, they're all the test tube pilots were all named after Greek gods:
Yeah.
Athena, Apollo,
Weren't
Achilles.
those were the name of the mechs, not the pilots, right?
No, those are the pilots.
Oh, okay. It's been a while since I watched that movie.
Achilles was
Yeah,
the
I
main
watched that
character
again.
who quit after the tie, and then Athena was the robot clone, or the test tube baby, as Achilles
Right.
called her.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep it all straight because we've had Battlestar Galactica since then. Phil
Well, that's
McConnell's
true.
name.
If you don't know the movie we're talking about, it is actually free right now on Tubi. Robot Jocks. Look it up. So, All right. But, Colin, as you wished, we will move on to something else in the on the white sheet. I'm looking to see
I was
about
trying to talk about the Olympics, just get away from China.
All right, so
There's
Mike,
no good reason there.
well, let's talk about Mike's interactions on Twitter. All right, because Mike is doing a heck of a. Mike is getting a gold star this month for getting the word on the show out. All right, Mike is actively pursuing, movies, and movie directors and producers, production studios, heads of companies. He is doing a great job at telling people, what we think a real movie is.
So, on Twitter, Prime Video's official account put up four pictures and said, "Pop quiz: which of these horror movies are real and which are made up?" They had Killer Sofa, Zombies, which the Velocipaster, and Lamageddon.
Yep.
Now, I replied, I know for a fact that Zombies and the Velocipaster are real, as we reviewed them on PTR Radio.
Yep.
I'm going to have to guess and say that Lamageddon is fake because it's the only one without a tagline, and no other reason than that. Then I Googled it. Replied to myself, said, now I know it was a trick question. Damn you, Prime Video. Well, Lamageddon's official Twitter account, words I never thought I would hear myself say,
Yeah.
liked my comment.
Yeah.
So at that point, there was some conversations were had on Twitter. Shaggy got involved, and long story short, we are invoking the executive decision that Lamageddon is going to be one of the movies that we review for next week.
Yes. For our next show, Lamageddon is on the calendar already.
Wasn't there a second one that was listed, was discussed as well?
Well, Velocipaster we talked about, yes. We have reviewed that
which
one.
we reviewed.
And what
Zombies we reviewed.
And what's interesting is Killer Sofa is a real movie. So it's a trick question because all of them are real movies.
That's what I said. I don't think we hate ourselves enough to do Lamageddon and Killer Sofa in the same week.
Oh, no, we don't.
So we picked one movie via random generator, and Lamageddon, quite interesting.
What, you've already watched it, or?
No, I'm curious to watch it, though.
Okay.
I just realized that everybody's having to look at my light there. There we go.
That's all right. Shine bright, young man. Shine bright.
What makes everything else dark?
So what's killer is they said, well, make it a double feature and watch Velocipaster, which is odd because your original message said we've already watched Velocipaster.
Yes.
So,
and I believe we've rated it. We were quite fair with our ratings.
Yeah,
we're always quite fair with our ratings.
Yeah, I mean,
okay. At least a third of us are.
We're representative.
You're never going to live that one down, thinking that movie was stupid.
So on that particular subject, though, there is another movie that has come out that I'd like to add to our list of, as soon as it's available, not in theaters, we probably need to watch Moonfall.
Okay.
Yes, I would agree with that. I've watched the trailer quite a few times, and yes. Now I got to look because
that have been hilarious.
Got to look and see if the one I'm thinking of is on the sheet already or not.
Well, as we were talking before we went live, one of the things that I've become infatuated with here lately is I started watching. Now it's a series that's been off for a while, but it's available on Netflix. It's is damn it now. Yeah, Lucifer.
Yes.
You know, and I went down that rabbit hole because the CW, you know, has obviously they killed they were talking about killing off the Flash. They've pretty much killed off Green Arrow. You know, so they're even though the Flash is signed for at least one more season, you know, there's no talk really of a Green Lantern. You know, they've speculated about it, but don't think it's going to happen, at least not with Diggle. So, you know, who knows what's next for the CW in the DC lineup. And so it was, and I had always kind of seen these little ads for Lucifer, and he'd popped into, especially like Legends of Tomorrow. So, you know, it's interesting seeing that show. So I'm into the second season now.
So let's get a little deeper into this. Lucifer is a show that was on CW, canceled there, moved to Netflix. Netflix gave it another 3 seasons after that. I think it's now done.
Yes, it's completed.
But let's go back to the CW. Let's talk about what's going on at the CW. And actually, let me ask real quick, are you too familiar with what's going on with the CW?
No, not totally. I heard that they were going through a rebrand.
No, they're for sale. Warner Brothers has decided to sell the CW, which there's, yep.
So Viacom, CBS, and Warner Media, is selling CW. Nexstar is among the suitors for the broadcast network.
Yep. So what's going on at the CW is they had some stuff that was already set up for pilot that they had previous arrangements for that they had to go for. So those have been approved through. There was some other stuff they had coming down the pipe, like Babylon 5, which, because they're looking at selling the CW, they've pushed that one off a year, which is almost never done, where you have a pilot script in, and usually if the network decides they're not going to buy the pilot to be made, that's the end of it. Yeah. Babylon 5, actually, they just moved it to next year. So it's still live because they really, really like the pilot. They just can't start something new when they're in the middle of selling the entire network.
Yeah, so, and the CW's never been profitable, according to at least this article that I'm reading right now. However, with their turn to basically being the TV home of DC, or DC-ish shows, you know, that's their huge draw, is their DC-related content. You know, other than that, the rest of their catalog doesn't seem to have anything of true value.
Yeah, and with them not being owned by Warner Brothers, who owns DC, that opens up some questions of what is the future of the CW at all. Now, some of the stuff I've read said that Warner Brothers was looking at still keeping a piece of it. So as long as they have a piece of it, I mean, that'll be the flow where existing IP can still flow through. So we'll see. But yeah, CW and its shows are really up in the air at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, if you look through a list of supposedly from Paste Magazine, you know, where I always go to for my entertainment news, you know, they rank the 15 best CW shows. Vampire Diaries, off the air. Smallville, off the air. Superman and Lois, just getting started, from my understanding. Reaper, don't know it.
Well, that's a good show.
But is it off the air?
Oh, it's been long off the air.
All American, I don't know that show either. Everybody Hates Chris, which is, I believe, off the air. Riverdale, which is a DC-ish, I would say that's a spin-off comic, right? Black Lightning, off the air. The 100, that's off the air. iZombie, I believe that's off the air. Supernatural, off the air. Gossip Girl, off the air. Legends of Tomorrow, A Matter of Time, although it's a great show, I don't see it lasting long. Jane the Virgin, off the air. The Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, off the air. So their best days are behind them, is what this article says. They have no future.
Just make sure someone doesn't come yell at us. So Riverdale is Archie Comics, not DC Comics. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, all of our Archie fans out there, the crossover, that we have.
Archie, Sabrina, the Teenage Witch, which is also Archie. I'm sure they're out there, and I'm sure we don't have any crossover whatsoever.
Yeah.
So, side note here, as I check Facebook, Teresa would like to know if we're doing the game this week.
Oh, the game. The game is in the closet. I can go get the game, and we can do the game this week. We're talking about.
Let's do the game.
We're talking about Misery Index. Is that what we're talking about? Where you guess a number?
Whatever game you can grab.
Whatever game because I have full of it right here, which is the Learn More About Each Other game. But that's not nearly as much fun, I don't think. Mike doesn't like it nearly as much as the Misery Index game. Let me grab that real quick.
Okay, go grab that. And the other question is the phone working?
Yes.
Okay, so when we get the game ready, Teresa, if you want to be our audience participant, this ought to be fun. So I did find an article from 3 weeks ago, just to circle in on the Arrowverse, as it's called, really. Supposedly, and I don't know if this is still happening, but John Diggle he's reprising his role as John Diggle for Justice U, which looks like it's supposed to be almost like a Sky High, but DC version. And there's a theory that he's going to become Green Lantern in that. So I don't know. I mean, the whole news about the network itself, that's a whole other discussion there, I guess.
Oh my, that's a bad one.
Oh God. Shaggy. Oh my, that's a bad one. Let me put that right on top. We'll end with that one.
So the CW did buy some pilots. Like I said, they were the ones that they had to buy. So they bought Walker Independence, which is a new Walker Texas Ranger spinoff.
Everybody was clamoring for that. That of all the possible ones. Yes, let's get Walker going again.
The Winchesters, which is a
hey, while we're at it, why don't we just go with Touched by an Angel? We'll put that one back on the air too.
So,
somebody dig up Della Reese. She's got more stuff to do.
So the Winchesters is a prequel to Supernatural and Gotham Knights.
People just can't leave Gotham alone, can they? We really should concentrate on a few other towns. There had to have been other towns.
Are you kidding me? Listen, I'm watching Peacemaker, which could arguably be my favorite show right now, because the Book of Boba Fett is a steaming pile of doo-doo.
See,
right?
now I was told that yes, it sucked until the last 4 episodes, the most recent 4 episodes.
No, the last 2 episodes. You want to know why? Because those are episodes 17 and 18 of The Mandalorian. Boba Fett makes a damn cameo in the last 2. Listen, here's my Peacemaker. One of the characters was actually talking to her girlfriend. Yep, because it's 2022, and the girlfriend says we could just go back to Gotham. And I was like, "Who you? What? No.
Which Wayne are you? Which cousin?" Yeah.
We're watching. Kim and I are watching TV this week, and as I'm fast forwarding through, I've stopped, and I don't fast forward through the Batman commercial. And she's like, "What is this? The 17th Batman?" I'm like, well, I don't know how I feel about this one, to be honest with you.
I heard a great story. So,
I'm not sure I'm going to see it. It might be the only Batman I don't go see.
So Michael Keaton was telling this story, and back because somebody asked him how he felt about having the suit back on, because evidently he makes an appearance in something in maybe it was the Flash coming up, the new Flash movie coming up as future Batman. Okay,
Maybe.
And he said, well, it fits the same, but he goes on to talk about the story when he was filming, and he goes, I was sitting, I was doing weights, I was killing myself with diet, I was doing my weights, and one time I was working out in the weight room, and Jack Nicholson comes going by. And he goes, what are you doing? He goes, well, I'm working out. I'm the good guy. I got to look good. And he goes, aren't the muscles built into the suit? He said Nicholson had a girl on each arm with a cocktail in his hand walking through.
And the way he said it, he was just like, aren't the muscles built into the suit, man?
And
all right.
The DJ was like, the only other story that we have about that, and I can't remember who it was, but there was a comedian where he met Jack Nicholson at a party and stole girlfriend. Let me see if I can find it. David Spade, there it is. David Spade met Jack Nicholson at a party. I know it's a weird combination, but David Spade introduced his girlfriend to Nicholson, and a little bit later, Nicholson goes, I'm going to steal your girlfriend. And Spade just laughed it off as a joke, all right? As Spade does. The only problem is, about a month later, Nicholson gets into a car accident, and with him is Spade's girlfriend in the car.
Okay, now this sounds like something that would happen to David Spade.
So absolutely, and she had dumped him for Nicholson. He goes, yep, Jack called a shot, and he took it.
So here's the comment I want to make about Batman, okay? And that is, what they have forgotten with all these Batman movies is that Batman, above all else, is a detective. And these movies keep making it more and more and more of a WWE wrestling...
vigilante?
Just brawling vigilante.
They make him Daredevil with eyes.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
I was watching this going, this is not Batman. This is not one of the smartest superheroes, the one who knows how to defeat all the other superheroes because he figured it out, because he's the world's greatest detective. Also, the moment that they decided to cast Robert Pattinson as Batman was the moment I decided I'm not going to watch that movie.
Okay, see, and that's why I said I don't know how I feel about this, because right, wrong, or indifferent, Robert Pattinson is one of the 4 reasons that Western civilization has begun a downward slope.
I'm not going to ask what the other 3 reasons are.
And so help me God, if there is a single scene where he sparkles.
Yeah, let me ask the question: is it Robert Pattinson or is it Sparkles? I mean, if it's Sparkles, I completely understand it. They get everywhere. You can't get them up with a vacuum cleaner.
Else
but
in that movie that sparkled did not contribute to the downfall of Western civilization the way that Pattinson did, because his Mannequin Skywalker-esque performance. You will never see me again. But women loved him. And that was when they finally started to get woke. Right? Listen, I don't know what Hayden Christensen's doing these days.
Nothing.
But I feel like he would have been a better Batman. Because at least he knows how to throw a temper tantrum, right? You betrayed me. You turned her against me. You know, he can throw a temper tantrum. Pattinson, you will never see me again. And then he runs away. And I have an issue with Pattinson too, because all he did was make the movie Tenet more confusing. I have watched Tenet 17 times. I still don't know what the hell the movie's about.
I understand the movie, but I can't help you with that.
At least a dozen of them I was sober, and I have no idea what the hell was going on. So, another message that didn't come through.
I was thinking about this the other day, Robert Pattinson, and going, his career has never really recovered. And I was thinking about other people who've had that problem. Like Brad Pitt, he had that problem for a while. And then he started making really weird movies like 12 Monkeys, which kind of, proved him out as being a good actor. And, he's been fine since then. Leonardo DiCaprio, after Titanic, his career was almost dead. I remember watching a trailer for that island movie he was on just after Titanic. And he was like on a beach working out or something. And I heard, some guy catcalling him from the audience in the theater I was at. And I was like, ooh, that's, I was kind of there myself with that. He ended up fixing his career later with Catch Me If You Can. And that's the movie that kind of rewrote Leonardo. And then he was, he's been fine since then. And that was on purpose. You get yourself a good director, Steven Spielberg. You get yourself a nice. It's not an event movie. It's a nice understated movie with a nice script. You luck out and have Tom Hanks come and ask you if it's okay if he comes and plays the role, and you become a bankable actor again. Robert Pattinson, you don't do that with Batman. That's just not going to do it for him.
No,
I'm not sure what it is.
Ask Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
Although Ben Affleck did get J-Lo back after.
Yeah, it's probably worth it for him.
Oh. So a couple of things came in because the toy's still not, for some reason, it's flaking out. Mama Blair wrote in saying, I did not love Pattinson. No, I don't either. I was Team Jacob all the way. I'll admit that right off the bat. And Teresa wrote in, and this kind of gives us a segue to something else that I threw on there. Minnie Mouse got a new makeover, black and purple polka dot pantsuit now, and the bow is in the middle. No more headband. So, I brought this up too. I'm like, I don't understand. Like, are skirts bad now? Why did they change?
Well,
why did they feel the need to change Minnie Mouse? I'm not quite sure. Okay.
So, disclaimer: this is France, not in the U.S.
Not everywhere.
Who knows what's going on in France?
Oh well. Okay, so so now she's Minnie Mouse is getting looks based on which park she's appearing in. Okay, I can respect that. Okay, so this isn't just a general overall change. Okay.
Yeah.
I figured you would know because you know all things Disney. Oh, that's good. Mama Blair says skirts have always been bad in my book. Well, unless you're protesting, I mean, I've worn them. It happens. One time somebody mistaked me for Mrs. Esterhaus, but that's.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
So Shaggy, you had some bad news this week too. Like one of your heroes passed away.
One of my inspirations, actually. Dr. Johnny Fever, passed away from WKRP in Cincinnati, and otherwise known as Howard Hesseman, and he's been in a lot of other stuff. He was in Head of the Class. He was in the Police Academy 2. He has had a career, but mostly I know him from WKRP. And that created, watching that show, created my fascination with the radio and with being a radio person. It got me to want to listen to radio. It got me to want to be a personality on radio. It got me, it romanticized radio for me. And it was always something that, I thought looked really cool. And even today, I think, obviously by still doing this show after 15 years, it's something that I think that had a lot to do with it, WKRP, and especially Dr. Johnny Fever, because just watching that show, you get a relationship with a character, and that's the mark of a good show. That's what we say in all of our movie reviews as well. So I was sad to hear that.
Yeah. Back when Shaggy and I worked together, there was one of two things that we would do in our breaks. We'd either watch WKRP or play Mario Kart.
Yeah, that was the thing. And actually, it's funny you mentioned Mario Kart. So I just bought a Switch, and so now I've been playing Mario Kart again after a long time. But yeah, I mean, we were watching through all of the WKRP, episodes. Now, we weren't watching the new WKRP. We were watching the classic, WKRP with the good ones.
What do you mean new? There was a new one?
There was a revival of WKRP. Couple of years after WKRP in Cincinnati went off the air, that featured just a handful of other of the actors, of which Dr. Johnny Fever was one of them. It was actually interesting because French Stewart was on the second show, and you learn during one of the episodes that French Stewart ends up being Johnny Fever's son. Or could be Johnny Fever's son. So I watched that in a YouTube highlight clip. Like I said, I never really watched the show, but it was, in fact, that's WKRP is actually why one of my dogs is named Bailey. All right, that was named after Bailey Quarters from WKRP, because when we got her, that was what I was binge watching was WKRP, and I thought that was one of the most underrated. She was the Velma of WKRP.
Oh my God, Tawny Katane was on the remake?
Yeah. The biggest problem with the remake is it didn't have Gary Sandy in it, so it wasn't really WKRP. Because you didn't really have the lead character. You basically just had all of the side characters.
Yeah.
I mean, all of the characters that were funny, but they were basically cartoons. And you didn't have a real person for them to bounce off of.
All right, so honestly, this, to me, the general format, I think, would be a good show to kind of reboot at this point.
I think it would be interesting, although the problem is it's not how radio is today. It is how radio was in the 70s and early 80s. But this is not how radio is today from what I gather from listening to kind of inside baseball radio today. Radio today is you'll have either your morning drive time show or your night drive time show. But everything else is all automation. I mean, it's just computers spinning a ratio of pre-selected top 40 hits. On repeat.
But here's my thing. What if you did a reboot of the one radio station in a big market that still did it the old-fashioned way, trying to compete with the automation?
Well,
I'm available, by the way, people, if anyone wants to cast this.
Well, it would be a great premise if you factored in reality, which I know we don't do for television or movies. All right, if you factored in reality, they'd be out of business in about 2 months because the cost would be enormous. But I think in the theory, it makes sense. So let's play the casting game with WKRP. All right, we've done this before.
Before we do that, I do have to read this one message from Mama Blair.
Uh-huh.
How do you top the turkey drop? You don't.
You don't.
You don't try. You cannot.
And this is going to be one of those things where you can't remake it as in like reproduce each episode because they were so very much of the time. Like, for example, the episode where Johnny accidentally said, I'm going to give away $10,000, and that was their entire advertising budget. So they made an impossible song.
I got it. The turkey drop episode.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be the next one that Jimmy Kimmel does live.
Yes.
That is the only way you could redo that episode. Otherwise, if you did a reboot and you reference that episode, it's got to be something like somebody new says, well, I remember this one radio station where they tried to drop live turkeys, and then you see like Les in the background just go having a flashback kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's the only reference you make to it. But I think the turkey episode, that Kimmel, if you're listening, that's got to be the next one. That would be perfect.
So I want to get into the casting game, Shaggy, because that sounds like great fun. But I will be stuck with this line in my head because this conversation has given me my next binge-watching old TV thing.
Okay.
Which is the spiritual successor to KRP, News Radio. I just realizing I need to watch News Radio again. Okay, let's get to the casting.
So we will start. We won't start off with Dr. Johnny Fever. That one's a hard one to replace. So let's start off with some. Let's start off with a little bit of softball. All right, Mrs. Carlson, not the wife, but the mother. All right, who is going to be the overbearing station mother?
Who was that?
It could be someone really famous because they don't come in very often.
Yeah, we can blow the budget, twice a year to have this person come in for a 5-minute script read. Now
I'm trying to remember. Was she? Okay, so she was kind of like the owner in Major League, where she wanted them to fail.
Initially, but then I believe Andy talked her out of it.
She wanted money more than anything else.
Yeah, she prized money and giving her son a job he couldn't screw up.
So, the reason I wanted to clarify, because my first thought was Dolly Parton, but no, she's too sweet for the. What about who's good in a role? What about Jane Fonda? She would be good in that menacing type role. Like
I was kind of thinking,
like then she could turn around.
Helen Mirren.
We can't afford Helen Mirren.
We don't want English. I was thinking Glenn Close.
Glenn Close would be good. I would be okay with Glenn Close. That wouldn't be bad.
Meryl Streep from Mama Blair.
Meryl Streep wouldn't be bad either. All right. All right, so we're good there. All right.
Oh, wait a second. What if I'm jumping ahead here? But what if the station owner wasn't a white guy this time, but a black guy?
Okay, well, then who are you going to pick as his mother?
Marsha Warburton.
Warfield?
Warfield.
Marsha Warfield.
Yeah, she's on 911 now, but she could do that part.
If we're gonna gender or racial change any thing. I think that maybe we could get away with the station owner and the manager. I think that would be. I think the networks would appreciate us showing that a racially diverse station starts at the top. I think that would get us some ratings points potentially, although it could get us into trouble later on. Because remember, Carlson is a bumbling fool, and they don't like it if you have let's be honest, an African American is a bumbling fool.
It depends on who you cast. I'm just saying, if we could cast someone, I don't have anybody in mind yet.
Okay.
Definitely would not want to cast a woman, because part of the whole point of what makes KRP work is you have a super intelligent secretary with a bumbling fool boss.
So speaking of that,
okay, so Arthur. All right, so Arthur Carlson. Let's talk about this. Maybe not going full bore the way you were thinking. What about George Lopez?
I was thinking, what if it is, what the hell's his name? He's in the stupid commercials for the eye drops. The doctor
Ken
who's
Jeong?
a comedian. Yeah, Dr. Ken.
Mr. Chow?
Yeah. He can play dumb.
No, I'm okay with him being the part, but he actually would work better as the reporter.
You want him as Les Nessman? The three-time
Yes,
Buckeye Hog award-winning Les Nessman? You want him as that?
I would.
I mean, you'd have to rewrite some stuff, but yes.
I was thinking, yeah, same thing.
Okay, so let's go easy then. Who's going to be the...
Wait. Okay, along my lines, what about Cheech Marin as Arthur Carlson and George Lopez as Herb?
Oh, that would be good. That would be good. Cheech as the burnout stoner. All right, I like that. I like this idea. I like Cheech as Arthur Carlson with Meryl Streep or Glenn Close as the disapproving mother, overbearing mother. Oh, what a casting this is. This is getting juicy.
Oh yeah, that does kind of. No, see,
hey,
at that
we
point,
never see his dad. We never see his dad, so he could have been Mexican.
But at that point, instead of Meryl Streep, if we wanted to go down that road, we could pick
they'd have to
Rita
be
Moreno.
significantly older. Who?
Yeah, we could.
Rita Moreno.
I was kind of thinking. Yep, she'd be able to do that.
Okay.
I don't want to get past the fact that as good as I like the Cheech thing,
I do like the Cheech.
The George Lopez as Herb is masterful. I don't want to let that one go. That's beautiful.
Okay. So, boy, we do have a racially diverse cast. I will tell you this right now. Jennifer. Who is going to play Jennifer? The sexy, unattainable, woman behind the counter who is only there to take up the days in the time in her day.
Listen, we're kind of blowing our budget already, so I'm thinking we got to aim low on this one. What about Farrah Abram from Teen Mom? Or maybe Octomom. Can we get Octomom?
No, we're not getting... No, I refuse.
No.
I absolutely refuse. I will go out and I will find one of those stupid,
good beer
expo models before I put Octomom.
No, you know what? I'm thinking. What if? No, she wouldn't play that kind of. See, here's the thing: you gotta be careful about this one because you don't know. Oh! I just had a thought here.
Okay.
What if instead of, because when this was shot, it was Lonnie Anderson originally.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The buxom blonde was the receptionist.
Mm-hmm.
What if we went with the flamboyant...
We're not going with a crossdresser.
Well, I wasn't going crossdresser, but I was going homosexual.
No, because Herb has to be infatuated with her. Herb is not going to be attracted to a transsexual.
Okay, that's a fair point that we okay.
How about actually, this might work. All right. Hold on. I'm going to give you a potential. We'll see what the budget says. All right. Leslie Ann Brandt. She plays Mazikeen. She played Mazikeen on Lucifer. All right. It's that's why I went with her. She's an unknown, little-known actress. All right,
I think that's actually important for Jennifer. You don't really want someone well-known.
Yeah, I want somebody that is, like secret hot.
See, I was
right. Somebody nobody knows.
Well, I was going a little different. I was thinking Chloe Bennett, who you may know as Daisy/Quake from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Isn't she a little young? Remember, George Lopez has to be hitting on her. So you've got to be 30s at least.
Yeah, you killed me here. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Well, she's 29. I mean, it's close enough.
It's not close enough.
You could because that could be another new plot point. Like George, you got to stop that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find Lucifer's mother because that actress looked amazing. Who played?
Also, I think it is a fair thing to say that maybe the Herb hitting on her all the time might be a plot line that needs to be dropped. I mean, we are trying to make this a current show.
You're saying that sexual harassment in the workplace might come into play, and we might get shut down by the PC cops. Is what you're saying?
I'm saying that if you're watching a current show, even people who aren't in the PC cops may have problems watching it.
Howard gets to hit on Penny all the time, though, in Big Bang Theory, or he did. This was only a few years ago. I think we can pull it off. It just has to be skillful. I think suddenly Herb can't be married anymore. One. All right. That's a problem. Okay. Herb can be recently divorced. We'll just play that angle. All right. Instead. Because that makes him more of an everyman as well. So I'm happy with that. But anyway. So Jennifer we're a little bit stuck on because we got money problems and we've got casting issues. But let's see here. So the other one that we've got. So
we got suggestions about RuPaul, Ariana Grande. No, that's too young. I was thinking Demi Lovato, but that would just piss me off. That would make it unwatchable.
Yeah.
And then I was looking. I was trying to find. I was thinking about Justina Machado, but I hate to say this. I don't want to be. I don't want this to be Latin centric, and that's where my mind is going right now.
We're going a little too far with if we go back to Infinite Money, if we're going crazy.
Let's say that Amazon is paying for this. All right, this is an Amazon Prime exclusive. Yeah. All right.
So, Bailey
Quarters, the quiet, reserved, but secretly
secretly in love with Shaggy character of.
Yes, that one. It's like I said it perfectly. It's the Velma. All right, you got to have the Velma vibe. So, actually, I would say. Let's cast Velma. Literally, let's cast Velma from the Scooby-Doo movie.
Oh, wait, you mean Mockingbird? Linda Cardellini?
Yes. Let's cast the glasses-wearing, but could be put in pleather and make your toes curl.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm actually okay with that.
So my dog is not happy. She's already been fed. I don't know what else she wants. So, but yeah, I think that would be a good casting.
Well, I guess I was just looking at those characters and going, I was thinking Ariana Grande, right? And I was thinking, what about Taylor Swift?
You know how hard we're going to have to work on scheduling to get her schedule in order? It's just not going to happen, I think.
Maybe she's tired of touring, and that's the whole point of the show is she wanted to play Jennifer.
All right. So let's come to the question here. Venus Flytrap. Pick someone for Venus Flytrap. Because I've got a few thoughts. I've got a few thoughts, but I'm curious as to what you guys think.
All right, so Venus Flytrap is kind of like the not as parodied version of the Ladies' Man, right? So,
well, he's the more successful version of the Ladies' Man, yes.
Well, yeah, like, all right. So, the Ladies' Man was just completely like a riff on it, I guess, is what I'm trying to.
Yeah,
think
exactly.
So, you want somebody who realistically would be, smooth with the ladies. I'm kind of thinking. What's it? Oh.
Boy,
Now I can't remember. I can't remember his name. I know he is Denzel Washington's son, John David Washington. Is that his name from Black Klansman and
John David Washington? Yes, unless you're thinking of Malcolm Washington, but I think you're thinking of John David.
No, I'm thinking of John David. I think he has a possibility. I'm thinking Taye Diggs. And I'm also thinking, what's his damn name from Tyrese Gibson?
I'm thinking. Now, hear me out on this, because this could be a bit controversial. But I'm thinking Donald Glover.
Ooh,
I don't know. I got some good suggestions here. I got some good suggestions from the peanut gallery here.
Okay.
Teresa's saying Snoop Dogg.
Snoop is in his 70s. I don't think he wants to do a weekly show.
He could definitely be Flytrap's dad.
Well, yeah. Mama Blair throwing out John Legend, which I got a veto on that one, and Usher.
I was thinking Usher, yeah. Usher
could work.
Does Usher have acting chops?
Yes. Don't you remember him as the DJ in She's All That?
No, I do not remember. If you are citing that as his acting chops, we have a problem. All right.
But also for that part, he really only needs to be Usher. He doesn't really need to.
Yeah, that's it. He was this high school DJ. I mean, I think he could pull it off. Teresa also saying 50 Cent. No. Teresa, have you ever watched WKRP in Cincinnati? I'm guessing no, because you didn't know what the turkey drop was. So that I appreciate your input. Please do not be offended that we're shooting down these names.
Besides, 50 Cent is a bit of a wild card for showing up on time and everything. So we
might as well say Floyd Mayweather.
Okay, so I think I heard some fairly consistent Usher, maybe in there.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I think that would be a good one.
Okay, so then Andy Travis. This is
the character the show is built around. I mean,
pretty much, he came in and he mixed things up and he changed things, and he's the general manager of the station, so he has to have an air of knowing what he's doing.
Now, here's here's the problem. Like, he's kind of...
But he's also a side character because you don't see him all that often.
He's kind of a redneck-ish.
Yeah, he's originally from Indiana. You know, small Indiana station.
That's not hold on. That's not why I said he was a redneck. Indiana's close to Illinois. I don't want you guys to...
I'm just saying, he's a Midwest boy in a big city, doesn't know his way around. Yeah. He's used to doing things a certain way. He's got a cowboy boots and a cowboy hat, and he goes in and he tells Mrs. Carlson what he thinks, and he's not afraid to speak his mind. So
my first thought, which is probably wrong, was Woody Harrelson.
He's too old.
I think he's too old.
My first one I thought of, I think, is a little on the too old side, too, which was going with going with Colin Hanks.
I'll tell you what, Woody Harrelson as Woody from Cheers, when he first started, would have been the perfect age. All right?
Yeah.
Not now.
Colin, you're on the same page as Mama Blair because Mama Blair said Colin Hanks as well.
He's 44. I mean, he's basically the same age I am, and that's
Colin Hanks.
That's a bit old for that.
Well, might be able to get away with that. He looks younger, you know, and what means we're trading in on the Hanks name.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we could get Dad to do a cameo every now and then. That would be nice.
Yeah.
You know, maybe he could be the mayor of Cincinnati.
Money. We never thought about putting Tom Hanks in the role of Arthur Carlson.
If that would be a return back to his big days, I don't think he wants to go back to that. He's a serious actor now, Mike. He's got serious things to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
It's hard to believe Tom Hanks nowadays of being bumbling.
Besides, he's American Dad. We already decided that. Yeah, he's an astronaut. He's a He's an FBI agent.
So
let's think about he's everything.
Andy Travis.
It's an important character, but he's also he's a pretty straight shooting.
But he's got to be a little younger. So like Mark Wahlberg wouldn't be a good fit.
No, 10 years ago he would have been.
Personality-wise, because Mark's got that go-getter business attitude. He'd be believable in the role.
Doesn't take any crap. Yeah, boy, who's a young Mark Wahlberg nowadays?
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland is Spider-Man. We can't fix that. Nobody's ever going to look at him and say he's not Spider-Man.
Tom Holland is in Uncharted with Mark Wahlberg.
But they're always going to say, "Oh, Mark Wahlberg's playing opposite Spider-Man." That's what they're going to say. We can't fix that. We can't have an MC character. We can't have a Marvel character.
Tom Holland is great, but I don't see him in the Andy Travis.
And he's too young. He's too young.
He looks too young.
What about Harry Potter? What's his
Daniel Radcliffe?
Daniel Radcliffe.
He could. I have not heard his country accent before.
He doesn't necessarily have to have a country accent. We're rewriting this. He came over from Britain.
Nah.
Yes.
Disgraced.
He turned around the BBC.
I got it. Disgraced L.A. program manager who comes to Cincinnati because he can't get a job in L.A. anymore. So he moves down market.
That's not the character, though.
No, listen. And now he's trying to implement his big city ideas in Cincinnati, which isn't the same marketplace.
See, now you're rewriting the whole plot of the show, though.
WKRP.
Well, somebody's confusing Daniel Radcliffe and Daniel Patterson, Robert Pattinson. So evidently we have a conflict.
This is someone who's trying to be ambitious, not someone who ran away from something.
Question is, are we going to get the same problem? Or are they going to go, well, Harry Potter's in charge of a radio station. This must be Air Hogwarts.
No, because he's done Guns Akimbo, so he's like completely...
Okay, but other than us three, who has watched Guns Akimbo?
He did that movie, what is it, Horns? or something.
I guess he did. Now You Can See Me
And he's
2.
about to be Weird Al Yankovic.
All right, he's about to be Weird Al. All right, so depending upon his success in the Weird Al movie, we could tentatively schedule Daniel Radcliffe as Andy Travis.
Okay. Yes, I would watch a show with a Brit in it because it's not a British show.
He's playing an American. So,
There's a distinction here. There is a line.
so all right.
Listen, I watched Harry Potter.
So
I had no problem with Harry Potter.
which is a very British show. So now we're to the subject matter at hand. Who is going to play Dr. Johnny
Fever?
Fever?
There's many different paths we could go down.
Well, remember, Fever was the burnout. He was the hippie. He was the old guy of the station, other than Carlson. All right, he's been around the block a time or two.
Yeah, I'm just saying, even within that, there's different paths you could take. Okay, for example, you can go down the Jack Black path.
You could,
or and preview for later, you can go the discount Jack Black path and do Nick Thune.
I was thinking John Cusack.
Interesting.
I mean, he's got the comedy side of things, but he's also got the sarcasm, down on life side of things. He can do a man with a troubled past. He's a pretty well-rounded actor all around. So and we can get him cheap. He's not doing much right now.
I'm trying to figure out. I mean, there are two different characters here.
Okay.
So you have Johnny Castelletta.
Yep. Johnny Castelletta is his real name, and then he goes by Johnny Fever on the air. Well, actually, if you look at his mug, he's got like 10 different names.
Yes.
But
his actual name is Johnny Castelletta, and then he comes up with Johnny Fever.
Yep, Dr. Johnny Fever.
Two different characters.
Well,
you have one who is this radio personality who goes huge.
Yep.
And then you have the other one who falls asleep on the couch.
Yeah.
All right, so Mama Blair, you said Dana Carvey, and I don't know who you're saying Dana Carvey to.
It's an interesting. If you're thinking about, if you actually, it's really funny because either Dana Carvey or Mike Myers could be a good Johnny Fever.
Yes.
We could go a ridiculous route and have them alternate episodes playing the same character,
or make them a morning show.
Yeah.
Split Johnny Fever into two characters. Ooh. Do Dana Carvey and Mike Myers get along enough to be able to do Chandler Bing?
I don't know that we could bring him in for this. I mean, that is a weird combination there. I mean, in one person, it's a weird combination because you don't know whether you're talking about Chandler Bing. I can't remember his name. the drug addict alcoholic or the sober guy, because you don't know which one you're going to get.
Also, can he do any... I have seen no evidence whatsoever that he can actually play any other character.
The whole 9 yards. Well, no, that was kind of Chandler
He's
Bing.
had several television shows.
Matthew Perry?
Yeah, Matthew Perry is his name.
Matthew Perry.
Yeah. Actually, the whole 9 yards was not... I didn't think it was a bad show.
Well, wait a second.
He played an out-of-work sports agent or something.
He has the neurotic side.
No, I realized I had the wrong character.
Okay.
Who are you thinking?
So, yes, you have a point.
So the answer is Dana Carvey and Mike Myers have mended their fences. In fact, I do remember this because they were in a commercial not but like a year ago for like eating local on Grubhub.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So they had a falling out, but they have now since fixed. It took them 20 years, but they have fixed their problems.
Yeah. Just to explain, I was thinking Joey, not Chandler.
Oh,
and
no.
Matt LeBlanc
Cannot
cannot play anything other than Matt
No,
LeBlanc.
Matt LeBlanc even played Matt LeBlanc on Top Gear. Let's be completely serious, all right?
Yes.
He played Joey no matter where he
who I
went.
was thinking of, and yes.
But no, I think making them a morning show would bring an interesting dynamic and a bit of realism.
See, here's the thing. Like, I do believe that Matthew Perry could play this role, but this is the one of the central characters, if not the central character.
He has to be strong.
He is not going to. He has proven he cannot headline a show.
He can't hold a cast together.
Yeah. So I think you do need, but Mike Myers has kind of a reputation of being difficult to work with. So
really, I hadn't heard that.
I'm trying to think. I mean, at this point, so now I'm also thinking, is this the kind of movie that, or kind of role that maybe Bruce Willis could pull off?
You want Bruce Willis as Johnny Fever?
You know he works cheap, and he's still a name.
But when he works cheap, he works for 10 minutes for the entire run of the show. I mean,
and he does not act.
Yeah, and he doesn't act. He just reads lines off of cue cards. There's no emotion in it.
Okay.
It's Tim Allen's character in Galaxy Quest.
And before you ask, no, we can't have Tim Allen play Johnny Fever either. Whoever's thinking Tim Allen, no, we can't. All right. So, but I think it's an interesting idea to change them a little bit.
Yeah, I keep thinking of people and then realizing they're about 10 years too old.
Mama Blair saying as Jennifer Cicely Strong.
I don't know who Cicely Strong is.
SNL character. That's actually very interesting. That would be.
You know what? I do like her.
She has the appeal when she dresses up. That's for sure. Oh yeah, she's got the appeals. Both of them.
Yeah.
So
got comedic chops.
Like I said, this is an extremely diverse cast that we have gotten.
Yeah.
So, all right. So what we know is when this eventually gets remade, and Amazon, puts it out using our exact casting list here of Meryl Streep or Glenn Close or Rita Moreno for Mama Carlson, Cheech for Arthur Carlson, Cicely Strong for Jennifer, George Lopez as Herb, Dr. Ken for Les Nessman, Linda Cardellini for Bailey, Usher as Venus Flytrap, Daniel Radcliffe as Andy Travis, and changing Johnny Fever into a morning show of Dana Carvey and Mike Myers. We know that they listen to PTR Radio. Someone at Amazon, now I'm not saying that Jeff Bezos listens, but someone in their Prime Video listens. So when this gets made, we will know about it. And everyone will go, listen, I knew that this was going to happen beforehand because I tuned into PTR Radio.
As well.
Yeah.
And we didn't do anything stupid like try to give ourselves roles.
No.
Oh, no.
We've got walk-on cameos as, ad buying people or something. I mean, we're not going to take major roles. That would be silly.
Yeah, it would be an episode when...
we'll be protesters outside the station when they change their format.
Well, the protesters who actually, the protesters with the bomb who, actually invaded the studios. And we'd be, the ones who broke into the actual... took over the transmitter and started broadcasting our propaganda.
Oh, that was a great show.
He literally just combined the plot of Airheads.
Why didn't...
What was that damn... what?
I just thought of a singular character for
Bump
Johnny
up the
Fever.
volume. Who? If you say Brendan Fraser.
Brendan Fraser.
Oh.
He works cheap. He's available. It doesn't matter what he looks like, so he doesn't have to work out.
You know what? That's true. He would have that. He would have like that swagger coming in, like I'm all that, but really I used to be all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. But could he carry?
If
we had to go singular.
When he's on, he's on. You have to admit it. When he's good, he's great. It's just when he's bad, he sucks.
All right, so here's the thing. I think,
and he's done pretty good with the Doom Patrol.
All right, so I'm going to give you the delineation of when we would go with him versus when we would go with Harvey and Myers.
Mm-hmm.
If this is on network or cable or broadcast, we got to go Harvey and Myers.
Okay.
If it's on a platform where the language can get a little rough, we go with Fraser.
Where Booger is not what got him kicked off the air.
No, what got him kicked off the air was something like he had sex with a listener
in a church. We'll use a real story.
Well, either that or on like while on the float in the Thanksgiving parade.
Yeah. That would work. That would work.
So, something like that.
Then we got a redemption arc.
Because him dropping F-bombs while he's talking, not on the air, but I think that's a key role or key thing to him playing this role.
Well, that would be if we had Samuel L. Jackson playing a role. But yeah, he play MFer would be every other word. But yeah, for sure.
Well,
so all right, so there we go. I think we got it set. All right. So see, guys, this is the kind of games that we play, but we could also still play. And if you're interested, go ahead and call in 217-787-0232. We got a few minutes left before we get to our double feature movie review. If you're interested in playing S Happens. That's right, otherwise known as the Misery Index. We give you a card. We give you a card and a subject. What'd you say?
I said we'll have to do that quickly.
Yes.
Just saying.
Because the movie reviews are going to take that long.
Yeah, the movie reviews are going to take a full 30 minutes.
No, they're not. I'm sorry. I had to throw out my new Johnny Fever.
Okay, go ahead.
Mark Hamill.
I don't know, because we're gonna get Star Wars references all day long. This is not what.
Okay.
No.
Okay, let's get our game going.
All right, so yes, if you want to call in 217-787-0232, you can be on the air and you can play along. Otherwise, make sure that you type in very, very quickly. Which, by the way, it's really weird. We have some voicemails. On our system. And so, but I believe, and we'll do this after the game, I believe if we check them, they're all for someone who used our number to register for a loan. So it could be interesting. All right, so we'll start off with you two just to get the ball rolling a little bit. Misery Index, a scale from 0 to 100, 100 being the worst, 0 being like stubbing your toe on the bed. Your spouse becomes an alcoholic. What do you think it's going to be? Colin, you go first.
Spouse becomes an alcoholic. What was the range again?
0 to 100.
0 to 100, okay. $78.
Mike?
42.
79. Colin is very close.
Wow.
Very close. Now, Mike is going to totally...
There's a joke in here about how the unmarried one
Yeah.
knew that better because we're living it, so we're numb to it. But
Accidentally sexed your mother. Mike, you go first this time.
85.
Colin, accidentally sexting Mama Blair.
I'm going to go with Price is Right rules on this one and say 84.
It is 17 and a half, which there's no way I believe that number. I believe I would rather have I think I would rather have an alcoholic spouse.
Mama Blair said 56, so she was closer.
Yep.
Those digits are in the wrong order.
Your favorite neighbor dies. Your favorite neighbor dies. Not necessarily by comet, by asteroid, but your favorite neighbor dies.
10.
Mike?
Mama Blair says 90. I'm going to say 38.
34 and a half. So evidently, according to these cards, sexting your mother is better than having your favorite neighbor die. Let's see what we did that one. Driver's license.
Done with next door neighbor of what was his name?
Wilson?
Home Improvement.
Wilson.
Yes. They must have been thinking Wilson died.
Driver's license being suspended. Mike?
12.
Colin?
I was going to go with 18.5.
49 and a half, according to the card.
Mama Blair said 78.
Here you go. Here's a good one. Mike, how bad is it if you had explosive diarrhea every time you orgasmed? One, that's a lot of laundry. It's a lot of laundry. All right. You better have 2 washing machines.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, if we were talking about younger me, then most of the time I was in the shower anyway. That wouldn't be too bad. But
I hope
now,
you don't have too tight of a drain. You know, the grid's in the drain.
Well, I just eat a lot of
fiber.
So, Mama Blair says 17. See, this is one of those questions. I'm just going to go with 42 because that's the answer to everything.
Hey, Colin, explosive diarrhea every time you orgasm.
I don't know. I mean, we'll go with the people who think that driving a car is that important, don't care about it. So, 32.
83 and a half. For once, I agree with the card.
Yeah.
It's not often.
That actually made sense for once.
Wait, put that card back up.
Yeah. Lotion.
It's pretty damn sad that they're showing a lotion. Yeah, see?
And laxative.
So they're thinking younger.
They're thinking
younger me right there. Yeah, Mama Blair says 17. If you knew ahead of time, you could prepare. Well, I guess.
There you go.
Kettle horns and depends.
Here's a good one. Frostbitten, you'll lose 7 toes.
Ooh, that's real misery. I mean, not just the losing the toes, the actual, freezing in the first place. 91.
91 from Colin. Mike.
I'm going to say 75.
75. 83. I believe Mike was closer.
Yep.
Is it sad that I'm like doing math here to figure that out? No, actually,
Were you the same?
Colin was 8 away. Yeah, that was a tie. That was literally a tie.
All right.
So I'm taking the point because I was closest without going over.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
Sounds good.
Sounds
All right. Here's one, especially considering the time which is coming up. You're audited by the IRS.
Oh, man. I can only imagine.
Mike?
Knowing that I'm conservative when I file my taxes, I would say 25.
25. Colin?
An actual worry, it should be a 10. But knowing how angsty I would be about the whole thing, let's give it a 76.
58 and a half. 58 and a half. Evidently, a lot of people that pray when they turn in their taxes every year were surveyed. There's one, Mike. I don't think you can relate to this directly, but probably indirectly somehow. Your dog kills your neighbor's pet bunny.
Oh.
There's some grief
Is that your
involved.
favorite neighbor who just died? Your dog was killed their bunny?
I don't know. It'd be hard for the grieving family to go through a spouse, a parent loss and a bunny loss in the same week, I'm sure. But your dog kills your neighbor's pet bunny. Colin, you go first.
Oh. 67.
Mama Blair said 6. I'm going... Why the hell not? 42.
19 and a half.
Yeah, you guys are probably closer.
Okay, so true story.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a pet bunny, but I have talked about on the show several times before about how the neighbor behind us had pigeon coops when we first moved in.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a picture as evidence. I could talk about it now because the neighbor passed on, but there was one day where our husky Sasha came in from the backyard carrying one of his pigeons. And that was perhaps one of the most frantic days of our lives in this house. Because Sasha did not want to let this pigeon go. She's prancing around all proud in our back room with this pigeon. And we didn't know if we should tell the neighbor or not. Spoiler alert, we never did. And, well, he died. So he never found out.
All right. Let's do a couple more here before we're done.
But that's the point, though. You still think about that,
Yeah.
I mean, the thing with the 7, losing the 7 toes, well, that's terrible and all. And after a while, I'll just be looking and go, oh, yeah, I missed 7 toes. But the one who's going to wake you up in the middle of the night is the bunny that was killed by your dog.
You got to relearn how to walk with only 3 toes left.
But you're not going to wake up in the middle of the night going, I can't go to sleep because I'm still thinking about that bunny.
Phantom Pain says you will.
I still can't watch Watership Down. So I know how much seeing an actual dead bunny would destroy me. Mama Blair says we killed a pet fish once and had him for supper. What the hell kind of...
I've not heard that one story.
This one comes through so I can send it as proof. But so y'all don't think that I've been drinking too much.
All right, here's another one. 6-hour flight seated behind a crying baby.
Oh, been there.
Been there. That's 6.
6. Mike?
Well, I was on headphones. I don't care.
I was going to say, I got headphones and I got booze, so it's not that bad. I'm going to go, I'll go 25.
19.
I would have said 20, so she would have gotten that one.
No, non-baby, but child behind you kicking your seat. That's a different thing.
Oh, that's grounds for murder.
Yeah. I can deal with the crying baby. That's not misery.
All right, and then the last one for tonight. Mom drunkenly complains about her sex life.
Oh, that's like a 2.
That's a 2.
That's
for
like YouTube and Instagram worthy.
Mike goes, "This is Friday. This is Friday."
Listen, no, dude, I'm filming it and I'm putting it up as a reel on Instagram. And guess what? I will go viral.
That's more of a misery thing on her when she gets, afterwards when she, yeah.
Okay, so Colin, what do you say?
Oh, I don't know, 6.
Mike?
That's what Mama Blair said, too. I said 2.
2. 12 and a half.
Okay, well, at least they're within the range.
All right, well, Colin and I tied. 5 apiece.
Again.
And it's only because I took the tiebreaker on that one.
Yep. All right, so right now we're going to get into a feature that we do every show. It's a double feature movie review. We take 2 shows. Traditionally, they're randomly picked out of a list that we curate. They are suggested by Netflix, Amazon Prime, YouTube, etc. All those services that think they know you better than you do, and make recommendations based off of your previous viewing. So for tonight, the movies that we have to watch, we watched were Thrashin' and Mixtape. Thrashin' available on YouTube Prime, or on Amazon Prime, sorry. And then Netflix has Mixtape as a Netflix original. So who wants to go first? I'll tell you what, Mike, I believe you put Thrashin' on the list. So we will go with you first. And,
okay.
So there you go. All right, Mike, tell us what you thought of Thrashin'.
All right, so I start off. This is another movie that I willingly accept full responsibility for putting on the list. Okay. Now, the fact that Prime Video tells me that this is streaming in HD is kind of laughable, and I'm going to leave it at that because this is a bad VHS dub. Movie starts off with hitchhiking, which any parent sees this right off the bat. I got to wonder what parents today would do if their kids accepted rides from strangers to get to the mall. Oh, I forgot. Kids don't go to the mall anymore. Skate ramp in the middle of a field with nobody there, and all of a sudden the entire crew is there watching these guys skate. I don't get it. The club scene actually reminds me of a club that I got tricked into going to one night during what was quite possibly the worst night of my adolescent life. Now, the central part of this movie is a race called the LA Massacre, which is a downhill skateboarding race. And it's $1,000 for first prize. That just shows you how much things have changed since this movie has made, because $1,000 would as first prize, nobody would bother entering. Kid gets all impressed when the owner of a skateboard company tells him he makes $20,000 a year just off of the sales of these skateboards alone. $20,000 a year, that's a signing bonus for most of these athletes, if that. So at this point in the movie, which was the Hollywood Boulevard scene, I decided to take a look and see when Police Academy 4 came out. It turns out it was about a year after Thrashin', and the reason I bring it up is the skateboarding scene in the beginning of Police Academy 4 reminded me an awful lot of the skateboarding scene that I just talked about in the Hollywood Boulevard. All right, they're both trying to capitalize on a skateboarding trend. They go on a date and they have this bowl of ice cream that is about the size of a Ziggy Pig, and it was only like $4 because when they left, he only threw like a couple of bills on the table. So I want to know where this giant bowl of ice cream and bananas is that cheap? I missed that. Then they have what I refer to as the skateboarding Thunder Road scene. And at that point, I have to ask Shaggy, is because this takes place on Thunder Road, and it went from cars to motorcycles to skateboards, is this actually Grease 3? Based off of your logic? I just want to know. Trying to figure out how exactly you decide who wins in this joust, because eventually you're going to run out of road or ramp or whatever. The LA Massacre, the race, my knees just hurt watching these guys crouched that long on skateboards going downhill. And just like that, everybody's all happy, everybody's all friends. So when it comes to rating, look, I went back to the vault to see what I rated BMX Bandits. Because I kind of feel like this movie would make a good double feature with that movie. And I gave BMX Bandits a smirk, so I'm going to give this one a smirk as well.
All right, Colin, I'll let you go next.
Okay, Thrashing. So the director of this movie, David Winters, was actually in the original cast on Broadway for West Side Story. And this plot has lots of West Side Story in it. Luckily, no one actually dies because this is lighter entertainment than directly ripping off Romeo and Juliet. But definitely has a lot of influence in this movie. Very few people in this movie you actually will know. Josh Brolin, of course, doing lots of Marvel, well-known actor. His rival is played by a guy who, the only thing I've ever actually seen him in otherwise is he was in one season of Babylon 5, where he played Warren Kiefer, which was a character that was kind of forced on the producers of Babylon 5 by the studio. And then when the studio wasn't looking over their shoulder anymore, they immediately killed him off. So he's well known for being stuck with a character that nobody wanted. The love interest is played by Pamela Gidley, who I actually have seen her in many other things. She was an important character in The Pretender, for example. Unfortunately, she and many other people in this movie are dead. She's in the category of dead and nobody knows why, because she died at home and there's been no other information. So we can always just guess. Most of what I have to say about this movie is interesting tidbits about the people who are in it, because the movie itself stars Josh Brolin standing on a skateboard, and then somebody else's feet in close-ups on a skateboard doing tricks. And then for a while they just kind of retrace West Side Story and then have a big race down the hill at the end. So you're kind of doing little pieces of other things stuck together to make this movie. I was bored out of my mind. And it was terrible. So I'm going to give it a cough.
Ooh, a cough. Okay. I'll go next. All right, so
I'll go next. There's somebody else to go after.
Yeah, well, put it up for debate afterwards. I don't know. All right, so Colin, you're slightly incorrect. You do know the head of the daggers from one other movie, and you probably don't know that you know him from this movie, but you know him from this movie because he plays opposite Robert Downey. He plays with Robert Downey Jr. Weird Science. He was the other douchebag in Weird Science with Robert Downey Jr. I knew the face was familiar. He was Max.
since you're going to miss it, he was also the friend in Elm Street 2.
Yeah, I didn't watch Nightmare on Elm Street, but
Okay.
I knew him from this. So I knew I had seen. I'm like, I know that face. That he's got that jawline that's just a little bit distinctive, and I knew him from somewhere. So it took a little bit of digging, but that is where I knew him from. And I will say, far better acting in Weird Science 2 with his few little lines than what he did in the movie Thrashing. Let me first read you per Empora.com the 10 reasons you should watch the 80s skate movie Thrashing. They say The Gang, The Daggers, The Party, The Girl and the Awkward Sex Scene, The Skating Montages, The Challenge, which Mike referenced, The Duel, which Mike referenced, The Finger, which makes a appearance several times, The Downhill, which Mike referenced, and The Finish Line. I won't go into details of all these, but they're all ridiculous reasons why you should really never watch this movie. If you want to watch a better version of this movie, watch Hot Dog. All right? Hot Dog is this movie with a bigger budget on a ski slope. This movie is... let me go through my notes here. All right? I did this in Mike the 8-Man style. I had running commentary as I was watching. Mom cares enough to give him money, but lets him hitchhike? Really? The line, break-in is a memory. That's an insult? Make the payphone call. While making the payphone call, you notice that the bandage on his right shoulder blade is horrendously dirty. That's just prime for an infection. He is going to have a hard time healing up from that. Suddenly, arson is not a crime in LA. It's good to know. I didn't see that it was very fair fighting in the front yard, where just because the guy from The Gang was getting a heads up, suddenly somebody else jumps in. During the duel, really? Park rangers? Park rangers? You couldn't even afford fake police cars. You went with park ranger vehicles and costumes. This shows what your budget was really like. Not sure what doctor would approve of skateboarding with a broken wrist. I don't know any surgeon that would have approved of that. And wait a second. Was she just flashing her clam at oncoming traffic to hitchhike a ride? Really? Because you see her man spread sitting down facing oncoming traffic. And I know it looks like she has her leg up out of her skirt, but it really looks like she's just flashing her vag. And then she goes and gets into a big rig. How did she not get murdered? 80s truckers were known for raping and murdering prostitutes, and that's what she appeared
not
with.
Large Marge. Large Marge wouldn't do that.
So, this movie really made me question my sanity. Because I rank all movies of skateboarding types, of which I know a total of 2 now, based on Gleaming the Cube. All right, this is so far down the level from Gleaming the Cube, and the Tony Hawk cameos aren't enough to redeem it. All right, I don't see him driving a pizza truck. There's no Pizza Hut product placement in here. There's no underground bunkers that are really cool that I want to build in my backyard when I was their age. There's none of that. So I gave this movie a verp.
Hang on. Tony Hawk?
Yeah, he was supposed to be in there somewhere, but I missed him.
He was in during the pool competition. You saw him for all of 20 seconds.
Okay,
20 seconds I looked away.
And they used him as a major marketing tool of the film. Kind of like Bruce Willis.
So, to answer Shaggy, I did know he was in those other movies, but those were all before Thrashing. After Thrashing, he was in Babylon 5, and then single episodes from then on.
Then he has a terrible agent. who decided that this should be a follow-up.
I'm actually a little surprised that nobody pointed out Sherilyn Fenn either.
Oh, the female
That's
lead?
the whole thing. So the Josh Brolin part, originally the director wanted that to be Johnny Depp, who was dating her at the time.
Yep. Correct.
But I was already kind of digging deep to find anything to talk about, so I didn't want to go quite that far back.
Oh, why not?
So
it wasn't worth it.
And I officially will not be adding anything else to the suggestion sheet for a while. So I think I have tortured us enough for the last 2 shows between this and The Last Shark.
Okay, so since the next one,
Armageddon, so we'll see how that goes.
so the next one, since it's my fault, I'll take the lead on that. All right, so our next show is Mixtape, a new Netflix special. And so before I go into my synopsis here, I told my wife the other day, I'm like, well, I've watched the 2, well, I told her yesterday, actually. I'm like, well, I went ahead and watched the 2 movies for Monday. And she goes, oh, why is that? And I said, well, one was a complete piece of dumpster fire. I said, and the other one is about a kid who lost her parents. I said, and neither one of those are ones that you would want to see. And she goes, why did you pick a drama for your movie reviews? She goes, that just doesn't make any sense for you guys. And I said, well, it's a Netflix original, so Netflix thought I'd like it. And that's the excuse. So here are my notes. Again, kind of stealing Mike the Ape Man style. Poems are weird ideas people forget to keep to themselves. I am posting this quote on every social media that I own because it is true. Keep your non-rhyming words to yourself, weirdos. All right? Anti is dollar store John Cusack from High Fidelity. 100%. No argument. Turns out Beth is racist. Thinks all Asians are the same and know the language. What? Napster didn't have a song. This is impossible. They should have gone to ShareBear or some other service or Kazaa. Something. It would have been out there. I guarantee it. That rope on the swing would have rotten and they all would have fallen down the cliff. That would have really happened if this hadn't been Movie Land. All right? All right. I'll admit it. I already kind of liked Anti, but now I really like him after he beat the crap out of the singer. I enjoyed that. That was a good redemption thing. Good thing. You are now General Store John Cusack. All right? Oh, damn. Play a tape of the dead parents singing and an onion sandstorm came into my office. This is ridiculous. All right? If you want a heartbreaker show, all right, but yet you liked the musicality of something like High Fidelity or something along those lines, then this is the show for you if you're into dramas. And if you don't mind that happening, because it's going to happen. Someone is going to come and throw onion dust in your eyes at the end of this movie. It's going to happen. And you just have to be ready for it. So, in the end, I give this movie a smile. Because, damn it, sandstorms.
Wait. Go back to full screen you.
Yeah?
Freeze. Why do you have a spaghetti thing behind you?
Oh, that's a back scratcher.
It looks like...
It is. It's a spaghetti.
In your office.
It's absolutely a spaghetti spoon. But they make great back scratchers. So when you're like my wife and you have like 4 of every utensil, you don't care when I steal one spaghetti spoon you never use.
I don't know why I just now noticed this, but I felt the need to point it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you should try it. It's really good.
I don't need that because I have.
I don't. No. That's not deep enough.
What are you talking about?
No, that's deep. That gets in there. That really irritate. You put that underneath the shirt, and you can really do some damage back there.
This is got sharp edges. No, this is just a.
This is hard plastic. You can sharpen this. You can make points out of this.
And
it's like Wolverine is giving you a back rub. All right.
Who going next?
Colin, you go next.
Okay, I'll go next. Okay, mixtape. I gotta say, I was not looking forward to watching mixtape. I saw what it was, and I was like, so for our movie review and PTR Radio, we're going to watch a movie about a orphan little girl with other little girls searching for music on a mixtape. And I knew, even before the movie started, that there was going to be a giant plot hole which was just going to bug me. And that plot hole is, why didn't she just fix the tape?
I kind of thought the same thing.
Because, she has this tape, and it kind of got pulled out a bit by her Walkman. And I just looked at it going, even if it broke, put a little piece of tape on it and listen to the original tape. Why are we watching the rest of this movie? That was my thought at the time when I was looking at that. This movie, for whatever reason, was set in the very late 90s. It ends at New Year's 1999. Going into 2000. And it has some weird things in it that are kind of... It's like... I think I know why they said it in the past, because they wanted a mixtape to still be something that worked from a timeline perspective. Like the parents could have created a mixtape. But at the same time, it was like... Okay, here's some examples, okay? The character saying, nobody has tapes. Now, I'm remembering back to 1999. And I believe cassette tapes were still a thing. They weren't much of a thing, but they were still around. We weren't quite to the place yet where there was none. Now, vinyl was not a thing at all at that point, if I remember correctly. So... The vinyl was a little too put out there. So anyway, there's a character who had sleep apnea, and while sleep apnea was definitely a thing back then, that's just not something anybody ever talked about. That's definitely a 2020s type thing that someone would say, I have sleep apnea. Back then, 1999, no one's ever heard of sleep apnea. So there's some little stuff here and there that can annoy you. That being said, this is a young people having a journey. Think Stand By Me, but not Stephen King, that kind of journey kind of thing. There's a character that Shaggy mentioned named Anti, I was also thinking, that was a Jack Black type of character as well. So John Cusack, Jack Black. But the guy who actually played it, he kind of played it as if he was a dollar store Jack Black. But I will say I liked his performance. He was a bit flatter. I think I liked him in his part. I liked that character a lot. The grandmother is a Worker of the Year male woman who I'm not sure ever actually delivered anything, because for some reason she keeps her mail truck at home and it still is full of mail all night long. So I'm like, why didn't you deliver that stuff instead of leaving it in your driveway or parked in front of your house? That was kind of weird. But all that being said, I mentioned Jack Black because also I think the tone of this movie is very much that it could be in the same world as School of Rock. In some ways, this movie had a School of Rock kind of thing. I found myself kind of wishing I had some nieces that I could show this movie to, because as much as I was not wanting to watch this movie when I first started it, I enjoyed myself very much. Shaggy is extremely correct about the Onion Storm. And this goes back to one of my bedrock rules of this bit of PTR Radio, which is, if I'm surprised by something that I did not want to watch, which I thought was going to be terrible, and in the end, I really liked it, and I thought I should tell other people to watch it, it gets a Schnikes every time.
And it gets a message to Mama Blair, let's get on your other kids and get us some nieces. All right? Let's start push that Y chromosome. All right? Come on, get it.
Well,
get her. Go after
kind
him.
of funny.
Not
Mama
pushing
Blair.
the Y chromosome. That'd be another...
Mama Blair did thank us for choosing Mixtape.
Yeah.
All right.
Mike, you're up.
So, as I watch Mixtape, I'm starting to think that this is a sequel to The Goonies. The same way 8-Bit Christmas is a sequel to A Christmas Story. Shaggy. Yeah, I'm not going to let this go. There, Napster. I was wondering how they were going to find these songs. Kept forgetting that this was set before YouTube was a big thing. And is it semi-racist that the Asian girl is the one with the internet? Patiently waiting to see how the mascot debate played out. Whiteout as nail polish. Okay, this is the 80s or 90s, so I'll allow it. However, as a goth person or a grunge person, maybe. Wait, Cheap Trick underrated? What? No. Now the Goonies are multiplying. We got Mikey, we got Data, we got Brandon, and do not turn Mikey and Data, goth, punk, emo, whatever the hell you are. That Camaro that was in the driveway in front of the garage band, yeah, that was my first car, except mine was white. At some point, we're going to have to find out exactly what happened to her parents, and that's going to ruin this child. This is just the guy, non-parent guy in me talking, but did we really need the menstrual talk in the middle of this movie? I'm sure that this whole situation has to be hard on the grandma, too. So I'm wondering how that's going to play out. And giving these girls a ride to a bar, of all places, this is not going to end well. This is the equivalent of, like, the hitchhiking in Thrashing. Like, parents would see this and be like, "What? Wait, what? What? Are you on a registry somewhere?" I had suspicions that the guy in the band was going to wind up being her dad. I'm glad I was wrong, but I had that was under suspect. Anti was looking very pensive during that finale song. It's like he knew what was up. And listen, can we just keep politics out of school? Please? If only, people. My grandmother used to tell me this all the time, and it kind of resonated with me because to this day I still say it, and I've actually said it to Kim a couple of times. Like, I may not always like you, but I will always love you. And while it was comforting, at the same time, it was scary as hell. So I see the Memorex tape in the tape player, and instantly the neon colors on that Memorex tape brought me back to, I could smell coconuts or Sam Goody or The Wiz or wherever I went to buy records that week. Because Sam Goody got it. So, Colin, you mentioned School of Rock, and this is how this is in this could be in the same universe as School of Rock. So I'm going to take it one step further and say yes, it is in the same universe as School of Rock. That's exactly how these girls learned to play these instruments in such a short time, and that they be able to perform a concert on New Year's. So this movie gets a big shit and grin from me. It was a lot of fun, even with the sad side stories. It was the perfect blend of if you looked up dramedy in the dictionary, if that's actually in the dictionary, this movie would be the example it points to. It's a perfect blend of drama and comedy. So I would highly recommend it. And Colin, you're kind of right. Maybe this should get a Schnikes. I don't know.
So Merriam-Webster's does have the definition of dramedy, so we're cool. So we're good. By the way, Colin, to answer your question, so U.S. companies discontinued production of pre-recorded cassettes in 2003.
Yep.
So, but we are talking about older songs here that may not have been re-released or things like that. I thought it was really interesting, the song that was difficult to find. That was a nice, kind of aside in this. So, like we all said, it's a good show all around that really surprised us. So, and we're not dramedy folks, right? We will take a comedy any day of the week, an action movie, etc. But this was a good drama comedy thing. So, definitely one of our recommendations. All right, so Mike, we have one thing to pick because Llamageddon is on the agenda for next show. So we are...
And I blame Prime on that one. So Amazon, let me just type that in. Yeah, okay, whatever. Title, Llamageddon. Can't believe we're going to do this, but fine. And so candidates, we have 1 to 47.
39.
39. I have a funny feeling I'm going to be angry. Hector and the Search for Happiness.
What?
Hector, played by Simon Pegg, is an eccentric London psychiatrist in crisis. Son of a bitch. It's British.
I have no idea who put this on here.
I know who put this on here.
So surprises me.
I know who put this on here.
So it is a Simon Pegg movie. Awesome. We like Simon Pegg.
It's a Simon Pegg rom-com.
Oh, this should be interesting. It's got Jean Reno.
Who is that?
He was in the Matthew Broderick Godzilla movie. And he's played... Sure. He was also in Ronin and... let's see here. The Adventurers, which we've watched. He was also in what the hell else is he known for? I don't know. He was in The Professionals. You'll know him when you see him. Let's put him that way. All right. He has that face that you will not forget. So, all right, that should be interesting.
I was briefly worried that maybe I put it on the list, but I saw it was on Amazon. I'm like, okay,
I
haven't done any Amazon links.
Does that mean that I put it on the list? I don't remember this.
You probably did.
I can't remember.
Or maybe Mike was asleep and sleepwalked and decided when he's asleep he really likes British movies.
I don't know, but this looks so weird. This looks like I'm so interested to see this movie now. I don't think I've had this much glee in a long time for a movie because I don't know which one of us suggested it. I don't know where it came from. I don't remember watching a trailer for it. I am just I'm giddy as a schoolgirl. Let's put it that way. All right. So, with all that said, you have been listening to PTR Radio, and we thank you for listening, tuning in, watching, whatever you do. Don't forget to spread the word about the show. Tell all your friends about PTR Radio and all the fun that we have, all the videos, movies, television, everything that we see, we talk about, as well as all the other stuff, our scintillating conversation regarding the Olympics. You'll only get that kind of coverage here at PTR Radio. Nobody else is willing to pay for that to be broadcast anywhere, so we do it here for free just for you. So with that said, all the events that I had scheduled have been canceled. I got nothing coming up. Mike, are you still on the docket to be a big auctioneer?
As of right now, I am. I have not heard otherwise.
So there you go. In the coming future, soon, you can look forward to Hey Bitter, What's My Bitter? Coming from Mike the Ape Man live to your location.
I may also be DJing a grand opening of an establishment in town, which don't ask me.
Do we get to cut
anything about that one? But
I want a pair of novelty scissors. Can you get me the big pair of novelty? Colin and I will come to town to open a supermarket. Absolutely, we will do that. Colin, gas up the car.
Not a supermarket.
We're going to do a supermarket opening. Mike is DJing. That's what's going to happen. We're going to get the big novelty scissors, and we're just going to, we're going to come in, and we're going to cut the tape and say, okay, everybody come get your groceries. PTR Radio welcomes you to the fine establishment of Wegmans in New Jersey.
No, it's not a Wegmans, I can tell you that.
So, yeah. All right. Anybody else have anything?
Nope.
I do not.
All right. Well, then I'm Shaggy.
I'm Colin.
I am Mike the Ape Man.
Stick a fork in us, folks. We are done. Later.